Hey, what is up YouTube? This is your man Hypergon back again for another video. This time I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Not going to be a deck profile or a rant or anything like that. It's going to be something to kind of help me differentiate myself from all the other YouTubers out there. I'm going to be doing a combo video. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to be showing you some basic combos used in certain archetypes. But it's not going to be limited to just the cards within that archetype. Anything commonly found within the deck also works. For example, with this one, it's going to be a Dragunity combo video. So while I will be using primarily cards used in the Dragunity archetype, I'll also be using cards that kind of are commonly found in Dragunity decks, like Tempest, Gird of the Wind Spirit, Blackwing Zephyros the Elite, and so forth. As long as it's not some weird tech, like if you've seen my Dragunity deck profile, you know I run Troop Dragon. None of these are going to involve Troop Dragon because that's just left field, and that's not what I'm aiming for here. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started and show you some basic combos to the advanced combos with the Dragunity deck profile. Let's get started. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to be starting this off with the most basic of the basic, and that means you got to know how to play Dragunities. And of course, the most common one is your 6-star Synchro. The basics requires 2 cards. These guys. You need Dragunity Ducks and your Phalanx. Phalanx has to be in the graveyard, and Ducks has to be in the hand. That's the only catch with this. So let's see how that works. So you have your Ducks in the graveyard. We'll just say that's our graveyard. Or Phalanx in the graveyard, sorry. You normal summon your Ducks. Ducks' effect then activates, which lets him get a level 3 or lower Dragon-type Dragunity monster from the graveyard and equip it to him. We'll choose Phalanx. Now, Phalanx has an effect as well that says when he is in the spell or trap card zone, once per turn, you can special summon him. So, we'll do that. Now we have all the tuners and non-tuners that we need to sync 6. So let's go ahead and do that. From this point, we can go into one of 2 moves, unless you happen to have other 6-star synchros, but most Dragunity decks only tend to have 2. These guys. Dragunity Knight Vajrayana, your most common cards you're going to go into, and Dragunity Knight Guy Dirge. There's times we would go into him, mostly when you need search power, but again, it's mostly going to be Vajrayana. Now with Vajrayana, you actually have another interesting thing that you can do called the Synchro Ladder. This isn't specific to Dragunities, but it is something that Dragunities are honestly best known for. Vajrayana has the same effect as our good friend over here, Dragunity Ducks, in that when he is Synchro Summoned, he can equip 1 level 3 or lower Dragon-type Dragunity from the graveyard. We'll go with Phalanx again. Now, fun fact, since Phalanx has left the field, his effect, although it's once per turn, has reset. So, since he is just now entering the spell and trap card zone again after having left the field previously, we can still special summon him, and now we can sync 8 into whatever we want. Normally it's going to be something like a Stardust Dragon or a Scrap Dragon, but you can go into whatever generic level 8 synchro you want. Or if you happen to have one that requires specifically dragons or wind monsters, you can do that too. I'm not aware of any, but the heck with it. Again, that's the single most common thing you're going to be doing with Dragunities. There are some other weird combos. Let me show you another one. It's similar to it, but it's not really as commonly used. And it involves 2 different monsters. These guys, Dragunity Legionnaire and Dragunity Aklis. Now, Legionnaire, like Ducks, has the effect of being able to equip a Dragon-type Dragunity monster from the graveyard when normal summoned. Aklis has another interesting effect, in that he, when normal summoned, can special summon 1 Dragunity monster from your hand, and then Aklis will equip to that special summon monster. Because of that, you can have Aklis either in the hand or the graveyard in order to do this combo, but you do have to have Legionnaire in the hand. Aklis can be wherever he wants for the most part. So let's just assume in this case they're both in the hand, since you've already seen what it looks like from the graveyard. So you'll normal summon Dragunity Aklis, activate his effect, target the Legionnaire in your hand, and special summon him. Then Aklis' effect activates, and he goes into the spell and trap card zone, equipped to Legionnaire. Now, Legionnaire has another little fun effect, in that when it has a spell and trap... Hold on. I'm sorry. He can, once per turn, send an equipped spell card you control to the graveyard to select 1 face-up monster the opponent controls and destroy it. So what we're going to do is we're going to send our Dragunity Atlas to the graveyard to pop a face-up card. Now why is that special? Atlas. Atlas has another effect other than just the special summoning thing. Also, when he is sent from the field from the spell and trap card zone while equipped to a monster to the graveyard, he destroys one card on the field. So that's a 2-for right there, just between these two cards. The only catch with this combo is that Atlas's effect is mandatory. So when he's sent to the graveyard, he has to pop a card. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you need to be careful when doing that, because if your opponent doesn't have anything else to pop after that one monster, you're going to have to pop one of your own cards. So just bear that in mind when using this combo. I know I said I'd avoid weird text, but if you wanted to, there is something that you could technically do other than this. Okay, we'll just rewind back to this point. Now, this is, again, kind of a tech card, but at the same time, it's not the most impossible thing to do in this deck, and that is release Restraint Wave. For those of you who don't know, and I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't, this card says you select one face-up equipped spell card you control, and then destroy all set spell and traps your opponent controls. Now, since this deck primarily runs on equipped spells in the form of the Dragunity Tuner monsters, this is actually a fairly decent tech you can use. And, with this scenario, you can use it to pop Atlas. So, we don't really need Legionnaire specifically, just someone to equip Atlas. Once we do that, Atlas will be sent to the graveyard, all your opponent's set spell and traps will be destroyed, and then Atlas still gets his pop. So Atlas is a pretty good combo for either with Legionnaire or Release Restraint Wave if you choose to run it. Again, this is kind of a weirder one, and some people don't always run Legionnaire or Release Restraint Wave, to be honest, but either one is viable, and it does make for some good popping scenarios. Alright, now that I've shown you that, let me go ahead and get into something a little bit juicier. How about how to rank 6 easily? This one's actually pretty easy, and it's going to look a lot like the first combo that I showed you. And this one requires one extra card. Dragunity Arma Mistletoe. Sorry. His effect is that he can be special summoned from the hand by sending one face-up Dragunity monster you control to the graveyard. Basically, it's kind of like a special tribute summon, if you will, but it's not tributing them. Anyway, he has the same effect as Dux in that when he is normal or special summoned, with Arma Mistletoe, it is either or. With Dux and Legionnaire, they have to be normal summoned. With him, he can be normal or special summoned. But as long as it's from the hand, you can still equip one Dragon-type Dragunity monster from your graveyard and equip it to him. So let's see what this looks like for you to rank 6. Again, Phalanx has to be in the graveyard, so we'll just put him over in our makeshift graveyard. We'll summon Dux, and with his effect, we will get Phalanx. We'll activate Phalanx's effect and special summon. Now here's where it gets different. We're going to send Phalanx back to the graveyard in order to special summon Arma Mistletoe. Arma Mistletoe's effect then activates and equips Phalanx back from the graveyard. We'll then activate Phalanx's effect again and special summon him. This is where we're going to sink 6, and honestly, into who, it doesn't even really matter. You can go for a Vajrayana, you can go for a Guiderge, you can go for a HTS Psychemoth for all I care. Just something. In this case, we'll say Vajrayana. If you want, you can still use Vajrayana's effect to equip Phalanx and then re-special summon it. It doesn't really matter at this point because now you have your 2 level 6, at which point you can just overlay them into whatever the bloody hell you want. 9 times out of 10, gonna be in a Tum. But again, this is more based on your situation, your playstyle. You can go into anything, quite honestly. Alright. I know it hasn't been too long since I started this, but sadly there's not a whole lot of variety you can really do with this deck. But I am going to show you the one thing that's not available just yet. It involves a card that has yet to come out, but will be coming out soon. That is Dragunity Spear of Destiny. When that card comes out, it's going to open up an interesting OTK with this deck. I don't obviously have the Spear of Destiny, but just go with me on this one. I'll just pretend to have it. And unlike your other OTKs, it's not going to eat up a whole lot of resources. This honestly, again, only involves like 3 cards. Alright, so we're going to go into these guys again. You know the drill. I'm not going to show you how it works. We're just going to start at this point. Going to sink 6 into, this time it does have to be Vajrayana. While he is the weakest of the 6-star synchros, in this case, we can make him the strongest. Now we're going to do our usual thing, equip Phalanx. Now here's where things get interesting. We're going to then equip to him, from our hand, a Dragunity Spear of Destiny. I know it's an MST, humor me. And with that, we're going to use its effect, which says that once per turn, you can add, or you can equip, one Dragon-type Dragunity monster from your deck to the equipped monster. Who are we going to get? We already have Phalanx, so it's not like we need anything else to Synchro Summon. We're not going to Synchro Summon. We're going to get Brandistock. What are all you guys thinking? The hell's a Brandistock? Well, Brandistock is one of the lesser known Dragon-type Dragunity monsters because, quite honestly, until now, he hasn't really been all that useful. He's just a level 1 tuner and, quite honestly, has a lackluster effect at best with what you can do with this deck. But with this, it actually works. His effect is that while he's equipped to a monster, that monster can attack twice each battle phase. Now, what you need to know is that Dragunity Spear of Destiny has another effect. Well, it has 2 other effects. One is that the equipped monster is unaffected by traps, which is cool, but not the most important thing right now. It also gives you a 200 attack point boost per level for the equipped monster. In this case, we're equipped to Vajrayana, who is a 6-star synchro, who also has 1900 attack. So that's going to boost him up to 2500. Now, everyone knows about Vajrayana's equipping effect. That's pretty much what he's used for. However, he has another effect that not as many people are aware of, and I'll show you another combo with that in a second. In that he can send one equipped spell on him to the graveyard to double his attack for the turn. Not his original attack, his attack. So it's going to double that 2500. So we'll just send Phalanx. We don't need him anymore. And now we have a 5000 attack point monster who's unaffected by traps and can attack twice. That is your OTK, and that is going to come in handy more times than you think. Now, I told you that Vajrayana can also do other things. Well, let me show you another fun little combo that you can do with this guy. When you do get him out, I know I've shown you getting Phalanx every time, but there's another card you can actually use to get with him. Good old Atlas. Now, why would you want to get Atlas? Well, remember what I said about Vajrayana being able to send monsters to double his attack? This is another fun popping combo you can use with Atlas, and probably the most commonly used one next to the Atlas Legionnaire combo. You'll send him, double his attack, you now have a 3800 attacker, and you get to pop a card because of Atlas. And that's it for all of the basic combos, well, basic to intermediary, I guess. Now we're going to go on to the big one, the Macdaggy, the combo to end all combos. I'm going to show you the Dragunity Wombo combo. What this is ultimately going to do is it's going to lead to you being able to OTK your opponent with a huge field full of cards. I know it's empty now, but trust me, in a few minutes it will not be. The only catch to this is that it does drain all of your resources, and I mean all of them. If this doesn't work, you have nothing to come back from, so bear that in mind. This is bringing everything you have on the table and begging it all at once. So, what do you need for this combo? Well, you need a few things. You're going to need these guys. You're going to need this guy. And one other thing. It doesn't have to be Atlas, I just chose Atlas. These 3 cards, your Ducks, your Mistletoe, and your Mystery Monster, need to be in your hand. As always, Phalanx needs to be in the graveyard, so we can do Phalanx stuff with him. It's going to involve other cards too, but they need to be in other places. For example, this combo is also going to require 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. However, if he's in your hand, the combo won't work. Well, let me rephrase that. There's another way to make it work, and I'll show you that after this, but the primary means of doing this needs him in the deck. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this. We're just going to, again, assume these guys are already out. You know how it looks, you know how it works. So we're going to do this, and we're going to sink 6. However, we are not going to sink 6 into Vajrayana. I know that's the natural reaction for most Dragunity players, but no, this time we're going to go into Guide-Urge. I know I told you this guy has some selective uses, and this is one of them. This is also the reason why we need that free discard. So what his effect is that once per turn, you can add one level 4 or lower dragon or winged beast type monster from your deck, and then discard a dragon or winged beast type monster from your hand. This is why we need a mystery monster, because every monster in the deck is either a dragon or a winged beast, ideally. So what you're going to do is you're going to activate his effect, you're going to add Garuda the Wind Spirit, and then afterwards you're going to discard your mystery monster. Ideally, you would like your mystery monster to be a Tempest, but it's not necessary. Tempest is just kind of the best thing to discard because of what you do next. What you do next is you banish one monster from your graveyard in order to special summon Garuda the Wind Spirit. Now, the reason why Tempest would be ideal for this is because when he's banished, you get to search out a Wind Dragon. You're probably going to go for like Arma Mistletoe or another Phalanx or something. In most cases, if you don't have that, you're just going to go for your random discard or Dux, because Dux has done his job. He's not needed anymore in this. What you're going to do next is you're actually going to send Dragunity Knight Guy Dirge to the graveyard to bring out Arma Mistletoe. Arma Mistletoe's effect will then activate, and you will equip Phalanx. Phalanx will special summon, and you will then sync 6 again with Garuda and Phalanx, now to go for Vajrayana. Vajrayana's effect then kicks in. You get Phalanx, you special summon Phalanx, and now you will overlay. Going into, guess who? Atum. You will now activate Atum's effect. It doesn't really matter who you detach in this case. I usually go for Arma Mistletoe, but there's no real reason for it. And then from the deck, you will special summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. It's ideal to summon him in defense mode. I know he has 2800 attack, but when summoned through Hieratic King of Atum, he has 0 attack and 0 defense, and you don't want this accidentally waffling on you and then being stuck with a 0 attack monster. So, what's your next move going to be? Well, remember that thing we sent to the graveyard needlessly? We're going to get him back. Yeah, right there. You're going to unite Guy Dirge. We're going to activate his effect again. This time we're going to add Blackwing Zephyros the Elite and discard Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. I know what you're thinking. Why did we do that? Well, because when in the graveyard, you can target one face-up card that you control, return it to the hand, pay 400 life points, and special summon him from the graveyard. I know that sounds like a lot, but in reality, it's not that big a deal. Why? Because we have this useless 0/0 attack monster who's already uses effect per turn, so what good is he? Well, let's just bounce him back to the hand, pay our 400, and boom, Zephyros. Also, not sure if you noticed, we now have another Winged Beast and a Dragon Tuner. So, let's go ahead and sync 6 again. Who? You guessed it. Vajrayana. And what's Vajrayana going to do? Yep. Get Phalanx, special summon Phalanx. Now, this Atum, when he uses his effect, cannot attack. So, he's useless, and we've already activated his effect. So what are we going to do? We're going to banish his sorry butt for this guy. That's right, Red MD's coming back, and this time he has his full power. Now what we're going to do is we're going to activate his effect again in order to get any of your 6-star dragons from the grave. It again does not matter who in the slightest. We're going to go for Mistletoe in this case. Again, this is more just like anti-waffling measures. It doesn't really matter who you get, especially since what we're going to do is overlay. This time we're going to go for M7. Those of you who don't know, M7 says that once per turn you can detach in order to target one card either on the field or in either player's graveyard and return it to the hand. So we're going to again detach, and who are we going to add back? Garuda the Wind Spirit. We're going to banish whatever light or wind monster that you want. It again really does not matter. Again, you have either your discard or Dux, just whichever one you didn't use before, I guess would be ideal. But just do that, get him back out one more time, sync 6 into our third and final Vajrayana. Vajrayana's going to do his thing with getting Phalanx and special summoning it. And now we're finally going to Synchro Ladder with Vajrayana again and get whatever 8-star Synchro you want. Normally it's going to be Stardust Dragon. Again, just kind of like a anti-destruction measure. And this is ultimately what your field is going to look like. You're going to have whatever 8-star you got, a 24, a 28, and a 27. All of which poised to attack and ready. Now, if you want, you could deter a little bit at the end there, and when you had this, you could again overlay into a gauntlet launcher in order to pop some back row that may be causing you some trouble. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter all that much, but it's just your prerogative on what it is that you really, really want. But for what it's worth, Gauntlet Launcher is a pretty good rank 6 for this. He can detach to pop a card on the field, and it's not limited to once per turn, so he can pop 2 cards in one turn if he wants to. That could help clear the field a little bit, and you do still have game with this, so it's not like it makes that big of a difference. Anyway, that's that version of the Wombo Combo. Now, like I said, that version all hinges on you having those cards in your hand and having Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon not in your hand. But, as you know, things don't always go your way in Yu-Gi-Oh! So, what do you do when you accidentally draw this guy and you're ready to perform your Wombo Combo otherwise? Well, fear not, children. I have a way in order to make this still work. So, again, what's your hand going to look like? Well, it's going to involve a Phalanx in the graveyard, now a Red MD in your hand, a Dux, or Dux Substitute, honestly, doesn't even really matter, your discard, and your Arma Mistletoe. That's really all that you need for this variant of it. Again, he just needs to be in the graveyard, and these guys need to be in your hand. So, let's see what it looks like. Starts off exactly the same. You're going to have these guys. You're going to go into your Guy Dirge. Guy Dirge is going to add Garuda back to your hand and discard the other guy. You're then going to banish one of them, get him, tribute that in order to get him, or send rather. Get Phalanx, special summon, yada yada yada. You know what this looks like. Gonna get him, he's gonna get Phalanx, Phalanx is gonna special summon, and now things get different. Why? Because this is normally the point where we would special summon a Tum and get Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon from your deck. However, he decided to be selfish and stick himself in your hand. So what are you instead going to do? Well, this Vajrayana is just kind of useless now, so we're going to banish him to bring out our Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. We're going to use this effect in order to get back Guy Dirge. Guy Dirge's effect is going to activate, same as before. We're going to add and then send Zephyros to the graveyard. We're then going to activate Zephyros's effect. This time, we're going to send Arma Mistletoe back to our hand, pay our 500. Now, why would we do that? Well, underneath my Guy Dirge, we still have a Phalanx. That's what we're going to do. We're going to send him to the graveyard in order to special summon. Guess what he's going to do? He's going to equip Phalanx, special summon, and we are now right back where we need to be in order to sink 6, stay still, into Vajrayana. Vajrayana is going to do his thing, where he's going to get this, going to special summon it, and we can still sink 6 into our lovely little M7. M7's going to do his thing, get you back your Garuda. Garuda's going to banish who the flip ever in order to come back out, and you are still going to be able to go into your final Vajrayana. He's going to do his thing with grabbing Phalanx, special summoning Phalanx, and again, you now have your option of either going into a Gauntlet Launcher or a Photon Strike Bouncer or whatever you want. You can even go into your Atum now, because you still have him. Or you can just Synchro Ladder into some other 8-star Synchro. It really doesn't matter. Ultimately, you're still going to end up with the same premise. You just have to... The only thing that really changes is who are you going to banish to summon Red Eyes, and what's going to be what you bring back to your hand for Zephyros's effect. That's really the only difference between the two versions of the combo. And it's ultimately going to still lead to you having a jam-packed field full of big, scary monsters ready to kill whatever. And that's it for this combo video. Tell me if you guys like this kind of thing, and I'll do some more. Otherwise, this may just be a one-time thing. Who knows? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And until next time, it's Hypergon. Peace.